Buongiorno, everyone. It's Lee. I'm joining, I have Puglia and Rose joining me in a moment. So I'm just going to have them on here. Welcome, welcome. Let me just invite our guests, Puglia and Rose. Hold on.
Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Okay, we're here.
Yeah.
Benvenuti. Lucia is joining us as well?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay. Insieme or separately?
No, we can do insieme.
Okay.
We are not together around now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good morning,
Good
buongiorno,
morning. Hi.
everyone. Hi. I'm Lee from the Whining Hour, and we're here speaking with Lucia and Caterina from Puglia and Rosé. And I guess for both of our guests, we'll parler un po' in italiano, un po' in inglese. Okay, so just alcune domande per loro
Yeah.
about the organization and everything. One moment, I think Lucia is trying to join us. Let's see, one moment.
Yeah.
Okay. I invited her, so we'll see in one moment if she can go ahead and get on here to join us. Molto temprano qui negli Stati Uniti. I know it's around 12 in Italia.
Yeah, 12.
Okay. All right. So how was your trip to New York?
Our trip to New York was good. Really interesting trip. We stayed in New York for 2 weeks. Actually, 1 week in Miami and then New Paltz, New York State, like in the north, for some wine tastings and meetings with importers and commercials. And then we went to Miami for other meetings with importers. Then we went to New York again, and we did our master class. With Rosé Wines, where you, yeah, and Lee attended our master class, where we basically spoke about our region, Puglia, and its fabulous and unique rosé wines.
So that's what I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
So prima, I guess, cos'è l'associazione per Rosé in Puglia?
Yeah.
Cos'è? Also, qual è l'obiettivo della tua organizzazione?
Yeah. So, Puglia Rosé Association was founded in 2015 by Lucia Nettis, and was founded basically for answering to our wineries on the territory needs, because our rosé wines from our region over the past years are becoming more and more important in a specifically point of view, because the quality of our rosé wines are different from the other wines, rosé wines in the nation, but abroad too. I'm thinking about French and Provence rosé wines. That's why, of course, our territory is different, our climate is different, so we have a different kind of wine in terms of quality and other features. So our goals is to connect, to create a network between our wineries from Puglia, and to raise awareness about our product, so the rosé wine, and of course about the Puglia itself, which is an incredible region of Puglia, of Italy. So we want to raise awareness basically about rosé wines and the wineries of Puglia. That's what we want to do, helping them to find a wider market in Europe, but especially in the USA. So in the market of New York State and Florida. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay, okay, yes. I would say that Puglia, assolutamente special for region. I had the privilege and opportunity to travel there a couple of times. I went for Radici del Sud in
Yeah.
Bari con Nicola and
Mm-hmm.
my friend Caterina Anderson,
Yeah.
also otra
Yeah.
persona. So yes, absolutely beautiful region, and it's important and that people know more about Apulia and the rosé or rosato wines
Rosato.
produced there,
Yeah.
yes, in Puglia. So I guess I'm going to ask you if you can tell us a little bit about the history. Raccontaci la storia della produzione di vino rossa in Puglia.
Yeah. So the first thing we can say is that the Puglia is has the greatest and the biggest production of rosé wines in Italy. So we are talking about the 44% of the production in the whole nation. But that is connected to some reasons, such as the climate and the soils that we have in Puglia, but also it's connected to a historical region. It's told that the first rosé wines ever produced in the world was made by the ancient Greek. The ancient Greek then exported their knowledge about the rosé wines vinification in Puglia because we are close to Greece. So when this happened, our farmers during the Greek and Roman period learned how to do the rosé wine using Nero di Troia and Bombino Nero grapes. I'm talking about the ancient Nero di Troia and Bombino Nero grapes. Really, the former kind of grape variety that we had in Puglia. Then rosé wines vinification didn't express itself at its best on the past. But in 1943, finally, Leone de Castris, a winery in the south of Puglia, so in Salento, using Negramaro grape variety, bottled the first rosato ever in the world. So we were the first to not only to produce a rosé wines, rosato wines together with the Greek population, but also we were the first to bottle it for the first time. So this is really important for us because the real rosé wines is born in Italy. It was born in Puglia.
Yes.
And as I mentioned before, our rosé wines are completely different from the rosé wines from Provence, for example. They are both a really high quality product, of course, but we have some really important differences, starting from the color of our wines, because the rosé from Provence are lighter in color than us. Our rosé wines are deeper, are more coral colored, and this color can be confirmed. The features of this color can be confirmed also on the taste of our wines, because the most important characteristic I think of our rosé wines are these great tannins that they have. And this is connected to of course, our grape varieties that are really, really strong.
Well, that
So,
brings me to two other questions that I was going
yeah,
to ask when you talk about the grape varieties and then
yeah,
also the differences. But before, I guess, parliamo the territorio or terreno
yeah,
in Apulia. What
yeah,
are the different types of soil, the different areas where rosé or
yeah,
rosato is
that's all.
produced in Apulia?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, rosé wines was born in Salento because the first rosé wine ever was bottled in Salento. And Salento is a part of our region. Our region is divided in 4 big areas, starting from the north to the south. In the north, we can find the Capitanata area, so the Gargano. Is a huge mountainous terrain at 500 meters above sea level, and here the vines are planted on its base, the base of Gargano. And then Gargano is divided in Capitanata, which is a flatter areas with limestone and clayey soils. Then we have Murgia, Agmurgia, so it covers the Castel del Monte area, for example. And Castel del Monte is really important for rosé wines because here there's the unique and only DOCG dedicated to rosé wines in Italy. So DOCG Bombino Nero Rosé. Then we have Valle d'Itria, where I come from, so nearby the Bari area. That has limestone and clay soils, but also sandy soils. So here we have a great production of both rosé wines, but also white wines, really elegant and fine white wines. And then, of course, we have Salento, which is really characteristic for its red lands, because Salento has a limestone textures where there are some rocks, red rocks, that with the erosions over the time created this red lands. So in Salento, Terra Rossa. Here we can find a really strong and mineral red and rosé wines from the grapes of Primitivo, of course, but also from Negro Amaro, which is really famous here, and really famous for the color, negro, so nero, black, and bitter amaro, because the taste is bitter, amaricante, no? So bitter at the finish of the glass. And this grape variety too is come from Greece. So we have a lot of grape varieties that are from the other part of the Adriatic Sea. And this
that's a good time to get into that question now. To talk about le uve utilizzate nella produzione dei rosé in Puglia. Which different types of grapes are there?
So we have a really large number of grape variety in Puglia. The most suited to the production of rosé wines are, of course, Negro Amaro in Salento. But then also Primitivo, and in Primitivo in Puglia we have 2 DOC, Manduria, which is in Salento too. Primitivo di Manduria is really well known in America too, and loved by the people. But we have also a really interesting variety of Primitivo, which is Primitivo di Gioia del Colle. Really elegant, Primitivo, and different from the first one. Then we have Aglianico, of course. We have Bombino Nero in the Castel del Monte area, but not all, in the other, also in the other part of Puglia, but specifically in Castel del Monte. And then, of course, we have a lot of blend with the Bombino Nero or Aglianico, with Primitivo and Negro Amaro. And finally, we have a really interesting product in rosé, which is the Nero di Troia. Nero di Troia, again, comes from Greece, from the ancient city of Troia. And so it's a really ancient grape variety with a really great tannins. So these kind of wines have a really good aging potential over the time. Talking about the rosé wines too, and these are not so common in the rosé wines production. So it's really interesting, the Nero di Troia vinified in Rosato wine.
Yes, I thought that was very interesting, and being able to taste, many of them, you can see that some of them have good potential for aging. Like I know I've tasted ones before with Aglianico, and this time in the most recent master class, I tasted several with Nero di Troia.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
absolutely, and Pomino
absolutely.
Nero. I think all of those grapes have great
Yeah,
aging potential.
and
And
Nero di
yes, più
Troia also.
scuro. Yeah,
Sorry.
I was just
Uh,
gonna say più scuro, and so they're a little, definitely
yeah.
darker, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more body than other rosés that you'll find in other parts of
Sure,
Europe.
sure.
But yes.
Yeah. And Nero di Troia in rosé can be found too in like sparkling wines from Nero di Troia, vinified in rosé, or still wines in Nero di Troia vinified in rosé. So we have a lot of we can play with the Nero di Troia in terms of vinification in rosé wines. And Nero di Troia is seated in the northernmost part of Puglia, so we are talking about the Gargano area, where there are a really strong grape variety. And we can find these features also in the Primitivo. For example, Primitivo from the north is really is completely different from the Primitivo of the south of Puglia in terms of taste of the wines. I tasted two different Primitivos, one from the north and one from the south of Puglia. Same vintage, so it was like 2016. Both really high in alcohol, so we are talking about 14.5% or
Yeah.
50% because our wines are really strong. But in terms of taste, they were completely different.
You're talking about from Gioia del Colle and Manduria?
One was from Gioia del Colle.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was from the Gargano, where there are no
Okay.
DOCG. It's just a EGP. But there too, we can find a really interesting, incredible examples of Primitivo too.
Yeah.
It's particular to see how the grapes, change in
Yes.
terms of taste, connected to the territory and soils and climate where where they grow. So
Yeah.
that's I think that's interesting.
Yes, it is. And all of the different soils that you mentioned, I know
Yeah.
there's also a proximity to the water, and so that
Mm-hmm.
also affects the taste and the elegance of the wines and also
Yeah,
the
sure,
minerality.
sure.
Absolutely.
Because Puglia is called two sea lands because we are surrounded by the Adriatic Sea from one side and the Ionic Sea from the other side, where there's Manduria. So
Yeah.
this influence of the seas are so fundamental for the growing of our grapes and the taste that then we will reach in our wines.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
why we have a really great mineral wines too, and really strong
Mhm.
in tannins wines.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so for those who are just joining us or who may not know, benvenuti. I'm
Mm.
speaking with Caterina from Apulia and Rosé, the organization that serves to, well, I'll let you tell them again the goal of the organization and a little bit more about the organization for anyone who
Yeah.
missed it before.
Hi, I'm Caterina, and I'm from Puglia Rosé Association. We are an association of rosé wines producers in Puglia. So we created a network between wineries from our territory, but also with importers, journalists, and other companies abroad. So we are talking about Europe and the USA to basically raise awareness about the rosé wines from our region and about Puglia itself. Because we, as a Puglia, we are the biggest producers of rosé wines in Italy, and we are also the first region ever to have bottled a rosé wine. I'm talking about the 1943 when a winery from Salento bottled the first barrel of rosé wine using a Negro Amaro grape variety. So we basically want to do an educational process about our rosé wines from Puglia and help wineries to build a wider market abroad.
Okay, grazie. And what are some ways or quali sono alcuni metodi that you're doing this? How are you spreading the word about Puglia and Rosé? I know that I just attended a master class
Yeah.
in New York, but what else are you guys doing or involved with?
Yeah, so basically, Lucia Nettis, who was the founder of Puglia Rosé, started to collaborate with some national organizations such as Puglia Promozione, Regione, and other really important government organizations to raise awareness about the rosé wines and Puglia all over the world. Then we attended a number of fairs all over Italy, such as Vin Italy, Merano Wine Festival, but also Pro Wine, Wine Paris, so other events abroad, and in America too. So in the USA, for example, we attended at the Newport Wine Festival, Food and Wine Festival, but also Fancy Food, New York Times Travel Show, and a number of other events to promote Puglia and its rosé wines. Then we always trying to create great connections with journalists, wine bloggers,
Yes.
importers, and many other companies or people who can help us to spread the voice of rosé wines producers abroad in America, but also in Europe. And now we are using more and more social networks, of course, that are really important for the construction of a brand identity and to spread our voice. So that's basically what we do. And we trying every day to communicate, to do education about rosé wines from Puglia as much as we can.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, is there anything else that you wanted to share with everyone? You can also recount in Italiano to let everyone know. We have a couple of people on here. But in any case, again, we were talking with the Association for Puglia and Rosé. I'm speaking with Caterina, and we talked a little bit about the goals of the organization or the objectives, the importance and how widespread rosato production
Rosato.
is, rosato in Apulia.
Yeah.
And just the different types of soil, the terrain, the terroir.
Yeah.
I guess at this point, did you want to also mention, I guess, a little bit more about the region itself, about Puglia, or
Yeah.
what makes Puglia a great choice to not just for production of rosato, but also to visit and to be there? You want to tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more?
So yeah, the other thing I can mention is that as an association, we are becoming a DMC from Puglia, so expert of the territory. We are not a tour operator, so we can't sell our tours, but we can create a tour for the people who want to come in Puglia and visit it. We created a number of really incredible experience in Puglia linked to our food and wine heritage. So tours about tours in the wineries, in Frantoi, where the olive oil is made, in Masserie, and other really particular villages and cities in our countryside. But also Puglia is an esoterical region because we have a deep legends, a deep stories about our ancestors and the connection that they had with the religion, and this connection still in Puglia in these times. So we can organize really interesting trips among the culture and the history of our land. And of course, with the great tasting great food and great wines too.
Yes.
And that's what we basically do, because Puglia is really incredible from a geographical point of view. It has two seas again, the Adriatic and Ionian seas. So this has a really unique seaside, both in Salento and Gargano, really completely different from each other, but really stunning and beautiful. Gargano has a huge cliff that slopes to the sea. On the other hand, Salento is flattered, is more flattered areas.
Yes.
But with this incredible blue and crystalline seas. And of course, we have this fantastic countryside in Valle d'Itria especially, where there are a lot of olive oils, olive trees and vines, and are really interesting villages. And one of the most famous cities and villages in Puglia and in the world is Ostuni, that is called La Città Bianca, so the White City,
Right.
and is part of the UNESCO company, Patrimonio dell'UNESCO. Is really particular because it's built on a hill on the top of the Valle d'Itria, and is really recognizable because is total white. So it's like a pearl that in this green area of Valle d'Itria,
Yeah.
overlooking the sea. So it's really amazing, and it's really fantastic. And Puglia has plenty of this kind of territories, areas, and landscapes. So it's really interesting to visit, and of course, it's really interesting to do a really experience among in the culture of Puglia, but also in our food and wine heritage, which is really big and wide. And that's what we basically do. And we have
so
also
many.
our promotional material that is
Okay.
painted by hand, everything by an artist from Salento, Valentina D'Andrea. So, and this is our brand identity,
Okay.
basically.
Yes, everyone loves the artwork when we see all of your
Thank you.
material. You're welcome. You're welcome. Very nice. So yes, I did get to a couple of places in Puglia, but obviously there's so much more to see.
Yeah,
Um, I went, I want to say Lizzano. I think that's an
Lizzano,
area.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Lizzano in Salento.
Vicino Manduria, and I was able to see some very old olive trees.
Yeah,
Very old. So that
yeah.
was, I know that
Hundred
Puglia,
of years.
yes, I know
Yeah.
Puglia is also known for the production of olive oil, great olive
Mm-hmm,
oil.
mm-hmm.
So absolutely. Um, and I've been to Polignano,
Yeah, of course.
Mares, around in that area. Beautiful, beautiful. And there's so much more to see and to taste there in Apulia. And
Yeah,
so we thank you so much, you and Lucia, for sharing um, the Rosato wines of Apulia with everyone, and for educating and teaching us all about that. Um, is there anything else that you'd like to share, or a message that you'd like to leave for any produttore, for importatore, for restaurateurs, for anyone? Any message that you'd like to leave for them?
so yeah, a message I would like to share is the importance of the curiosity to a new product, a new product. Our rosé wines are not so new because our rosé wines from Puglia have a really great history on their back, but they still new in the market, for example. And it's important to us doing an educational process to be these wines be recognizable for the customers also. And of course, in this case, we need the help of people like you, or like Gianfranco Sorrentino, also from Gruppo Italiano, which who allowed us to do a really great masterclass on his restaurant to educate people at to know Puglia, which is not well known yet. It's a part of Italy
That's
that's
right.
hidden and not so recognizable. And of course, it's rosé wines, and it is important to yeah to let these rosé wines from Puglia have a chance to enter in the market and to express themselves at 100 grades, because they are really interesting and unique product. And if you all of you are allowed to taste it once, you will understand how why I'm talking. I'm talking in these terms, because our wines are really unique and are really not so common product. So it's important to give them a chance, I think, and that's what we are trying to do.
Yes. Okay. And then I would also just add that they're also versatile because there's several different grapes that
Yeah,
can be, on their own as a rosato, but also sometimes they're mixed with other grapes and it produces a wine that's that much more, structured, excuse me, or complex. And so absolutely,
yeah,
um, very versatile. And I also agree that everyone should give rosatos from Puglia a try. I think that the awareness is definitely happening. A lot more people are talking about Apulia, talking about the wines, talking about wanting to visit
hmm,
Puglia and everything. So I think that awareness is definitely being raised, which means you guys are doing a great job.
thank you.
You're welcome.
We're trying to do that.
No problem. Okay, so I'm thinking that we're kind of done here. We're going to revisit this at another time and talk some more about some of the projects you guys are working on and a
Yeah,
little bit more about Puglia and Rosé or Rosato in Puglia.
rosato,
Yes,
rosato di Puglia.
Rosato. Yes, so grazie molto per
Grazie
il tuo
lì.
tempo and for sharing all your wines and everything and history and culture of Apulia with us.
Thank you. So thank you so
You're
much for your
welcome.
time.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Have a good
All
day.
right. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.